All right, all right, all right. Welcome everyone to another Hex Foodies live stream. Once again, messing with my mic. All right, I can hear it in both ears now. What's been going on? I've been very active. I've got a lot of live streams that have been going down. Some with me have been my solar dehydrators, reviewing those, like getting them all in one place, having a chat. Some people came into chat, had some comments. Pretty cool video I did. Solar dehydrators. That's placed over in the t.me/Hex Foodies live or Hex Foodies chat. That's on Telegram, t.me/Hex Foodies. Today we have a wonderful guest who is going to stay anonymous, and he's going to talk about mushrooms. So please spread this, like, subscribe, spread it to chat rooms, YouTube wise. The link to join the live stream is in the t.me/Hex Foodies chat room. However, we're going to limit the participation from other people because we've got a special guest. Any comments you want during this interview or this rundown of mushrooms and how to grow mushrooms, you're welcome to add those to the comments. I am your host for the time being, Eco Builder. You can find me on Twitter. Let's see what's going down. Hey, how's it going?
All right, let's see if I can hear you and you can hear me.
Hey, is it okay if your name is present? Your
Oh yeah,
Twitter name. Okay, cool.
Oh yeah. I don't
Yeah,
care.
I can hear you just fine.
Right on, man.
Sweet. Thanks for being
Sweet.
here. Thanks for being open to discuss this topic.
Absolutely. Let's see if I can get my camera working. What's up, man?
Okay. Hey.
How's it going?
Good. I didn't know how much OPSEC or whatever you wanted to do.
Oh man,
So,
we're just talking about art of the possible here.
yeah, okay. Art of the possible. I like
It's like the
that.
anarchist cookbook. I mean, you can do this with like you do this with like shiitake mushrooms. Did you get that
I did.
that image I sent you?
Yeah,
Maybe
let
you
me
can
pull
throw
that
that up
up.
for your viewers. What's up, everybody? Well,
Everybody's buzzing to see you.
you know, I listened to y'all's show last week, and I thought it was funny. I got to give a shout out to was it Finn Bear?
Yeah, Finbay.
He made a fun comment last week that I was scared off because of the fireworks. No, we were actually doing the fireworks show, so we were trying to scare everybody else, and we did a pretty good job. I think we wired up I don't know, like 900 pounds of explosives to computer controlled electronic ignition and fired it all off to a soundtrack, which was just a phenomenal blast. I recommend anybody do it. It's a whole different conversation for another day.
That's so awesome. I saw those images. The videos were amazing.
Yeah. It's
Sometimes
cool.
people can't get fireworks on film, too bright exposure, too fast, something like that. But you ran the video. It was nice.
Yeah. We did well that was just a camera. So we had two like 4 and 8K cameras set up. So it's the actual videos in post production right now. A buddy of mine that fellow Hexagon does a lot of documentaries and films, and he's working on the post production as we speak. So hopefully here in the next week or two we'll have a really cool video coming out on YouTube that'll showcase what
Awesome.
we did. So yeah.
Hexagon Hexflex.
Hexflex.
Marcavelli, good to see you. Daraj, Belly Hex, welcome. So what is this image that you sent me?
Yeah, so this image is the is the scientific method or process by which you would grow and cultivate mushrooms, believe it or not. And this is actually freely available. So if you go out and just do a Google search on like how to grow mushrooms, you're gonna find like this mycelium, International Society for growing mushrooms. You'll find all sorts of resources on the web, but if you think about what nature does on its own, it's pretty crazy, right? Because let's just kind of take you through the top of this and work the way down. So you start with petri dishes, and anybody that's in like medical field or healthcare, like if you're doing a culture of something, you want to grow something, you're going to take some bacteria. You're going to start with a petri dish, and in that petri dish is a food source, and that food source is like an agar or malt agar. We always used to use an agar called Bob's malt agar. Granted, I hadn't done this since college, but you sterilize that agar and you put it into the petri dish, and you need a source of spores, and so you have either a spore print or you clone from an actual mushroom, and you use a sterilized uh, utensil there. It's a little wire loop, and you scrape some spores and you basically get it onto that culture. And uh, this is probably one of the more difficult processes because you have to do all of this in essence in a clean room. Because if you get any kind of like penicillin mold or any kind of mold spore, and you think about it, like you're inhaling mold spores and all sorts of spores, probably about 100 million of them in every breath that you take. They're just floating in the air. And so you really have to prepare this in like a clean room. So if you think about how it's done in the medical community, you're going to have a box that's essentially sterile. It's clean. You're going to stick your hands to the gloves. You're going to do all the preparation in there. You're going to seal these. You're going to seal these petri dishes up, and you're going to stick them in the dark for a while, and at a fairly consistent temperature. And in the span of 3 or 4 weeks, what you're going to start to see is you're going to see all these little white filaments, and it's called mycelia, and that's basically the spore germinating and beginning to feed on the agar. And if you've done it right, you're not going to have the green mold and all of this stuff that's growing all over the agar. So if you didn't do it right, which the first time you do it, this will most likely be what happens to you. You're just going to be tossing them out. You're going to be starting over and redoing the process until you get some good cultures. And then that sterilization, you're going to do all of this with basically pressure cooker. The next phase is to take that culture. You're going to cut it up into some triangles, and you're going to put it in another petri dish, and you're going to continue to let it evolve and grow, because basically when it's really young, it's really fragile, and as the mycelia grow, it becomes more robust and resistant to other things that are trying to eat the mycelia. So if you think about like nature doing this, it's pretty incredible, because you think, well, nature's not really a sterile environment, but especially if you think about the medium that this stuff grows in, but it manages to take hold and grow into a massive network. I think some people have even said that mycelia is probably the largest living organism on Earth, which is pretty incredible. So you do this a couple of times. You get that first petri dish going, and then you move to the second one, and you'll see they've got some triangle cuts in there. You're just going to take the first one. You're going to move that into a fresh thing of malt agar, and you're going to let that grow for another 3 to 6 weeks. And so really, you're about 9 weeks in before you even get to the like a rye rye grain is what's typically used. You sterilize that in a pressure cooker. You inoculate the grain, so you cut out those you know samples from the second culture, and you inoculate the grains. You get it in there and you shake it up and you twist it around. And now that's when the mycelia really start to spawn and take off. And you'll see over the course of another period of time, if you've done everything again right and everything is sterile, you're going to have a jar that is inoculated that has a lot of mycelia just growing all through the grain. It's really feeding. It's getting robust, and at that point in time, you're really ready to move it into that final phase, which is um, putting it into the bulk substrate that it's going to grow in. And this is really where you're going to fruit the mycelia. So it's going to really take over and start to feed on the substrate. And there's different ways that you can do this, right? You can have them in bags. You can do tray cultures. You can do stump cultures. It really depends on the type of species that you're growing. Wall cultures, columns, bags. Um, the key here is that, like every species, you really have to kind of just do some research and understand, like, what is the species like? What temperature does it like to fruit at? How much light does it get? You start with almost like growing or like a fish tank, right? Your fish need a certain amount of light and a certain temperature, pH of the water. You want the conditions really to be just right, and over time, it's going to start to button out, and you're going to start to really see the fruiting phase, and that takes another several weeks to occur. So all in all, once you get the process started, you can evolve this and kind of keep it going. But that first, kind of getting started in this process is it's a lot of trial and error, and it's a lot of figuring out what's going on and what's working and what's not, how much humidity, having a controlled environment. Yeah, so that's at the high level, that's how you grow mushrooms.
Belly Heck says inoculate the West.
Inoculate the West. Yeah.
What sort of like positive social factors do you think could happen from people spreading their love of mushrooms?
Ah, um, I think I think it's on many different levels. Like for me, when I was young and in college, man, I just did it for the fun. But it's amazing to me the science behind psilocybin. If you look at John Hopkins, they've now had grants and they're doing studies, and um, there's massive benefit to people that have PTSD. And I'm sorry, but I don't care who you are. At some level, you've got PTSD. You've got a relationship PTSD. You've got environmental PTSD. You got PTSD from the media, from war. It everybody's walking around with PTSD, and they have done a lot of studies, and they continue to do a lot of studies that show that relatively high dose of psilocybin can have a very net positive impact on people with PTSD. In a controlled setting, it's a blend of like cognitive behavioral therapy and psilocybin. And these are research grants that are funded, that are working, that people are going through, that are showing like 90% efficacy rates. It's incredible. And there's also starting to they're doing a lot of research into like microdosing, and that's really something I'm keen into doing and very interested in and participate in, which is you know a teaspoon of in your coffee. You grind up the dried mushrooms once you've put them through a dehydrator and taken the moisture out, and you grind them up in a coffee grinder, and now you've got a nice bag of just powder, and you can put a teaspoon in your coffee, and it's below a dose that it's below a dose that creates any kind of hallucinogenic or psychedelic effect, but it I think it has a very positive impact on, just connecting your brain together and kind of making you holistic again if you're mentally fractured. There are a lot of studies showing that there are some amazing anti-inflammatory properties to it as well. And keep in mind, there's literally dozens of species. So, across the all the genomes of these mushrooms, even non-psilocybin. Like there's all sorts of potential positive health benefits that people are, still exploring and trying to understand.
Daraj over in India, he would like to ask, where do you start with a starter culture? Like, how do you source it? Where do you get it from?
Well, um, you can go out into Mother Nature and you can find um, a species that you're wanting to grow. There are other like mail order options out there that you can manage to pick up that spore print. And essentially, what it is it's a dried mushroom on a semi tacky paper, and they just put it on there, and the spores kind of drop out of the cap, and they stick to this paper, and they'll mail you the paper. I can't tell you exactly where to go, but I think if you did some research, you would probably find what you're looking for.
Okay. Um, have you heard about Belly Hacks mentions that sometimes people are mixing cannabinoid with mushroom
Yeah,
ingestion?
yeah. I think they kind of go hand in hand with one another, I suppose. Um, I don't prefer to do that, but I know that there are people that are
Can we
very.
talk about mushroom laws? Like, where is it that you don't want to be, um, you know, doing this sort of thing, microdosing and stuff like that, getting caught with it, I guess, substance? Like, are there?
Yeah, I think so much of that, like in the past, the war on drugs, especially in America, like every country is going to have different laws. Some countries it's legal. Some states in the United States, it's becoming legal. Certainly within the realm of medical research, there's definitely interest in removing the stigma and making this legal. You have to check with your local jurisdictions to figure out what's the risk. And I think people make the mistake of going out and partying with this stuff and carrying it around with them, and that's one thing. The other side of this is like, if you're doing this at home, or you're going out and you're camping, be responsible. Um, I take a very holistic approach to psychedelics. It's not a party for me. It's medicine, and I don't abuse it. I will not go to parties with it. It's not something. This is something that is like for internal journey. And it's like really getting into your soul and working on doing soul work. And so, it's kept for me. I keep it in a safe. I keep it locked up, and I pull some out and I put it in my coffee, and I'll go through that in cycles, right? So you might do it for 3 or 4 weeks, and then you stop and you let your let your brain rest for a while, and then you go back and do it again. And explore the properties, kind of see what works for you, figure out how much of a microdose is the right kind of dose for you. Start small, kind of work your way up until you kind of get to that sweet spot where you feel like you're getting a positive benefit from it. And then see where it takes you. I think that for people who really have mental trauma, PTSD, um, you know, finding a place and a time to be able to like go and really connect and just get out and be amongst nature and the trees and the wilderness, and being able to journey with a relatively high dose. And you can't, I don't think, really overdose on these things. You want to be cognizant of your diet. Um, You don't want to, um, you want to kind of cleanse yourself a little bit before you go into like a high dose situation. Um, Not a whole lot of fat, kind of a light, brothy, easy on your stomach diet because it will tend to give you some gastrointestinal discomfort otherwise.
I'm glad you said I'm glad you're saying this stance that you're using it as a spiritual healer instead
Mhm.
of a partier.
Mhm.
Um, I too would acquire mushrooms and then basically just decide what time am I the most recluse,
Mhm.
and maybe it's coming up on a full moon or right after a full moon, and
Mhm.
I basically lock myself in my bedroom and I'm there awake for 6 hours dealing with my um, like what I like to say is I ask for signs through the veil,
Mhm.
and I swear I'm I'm having
Yeah,
conversations. I'm doing the good work.
you go into it with intention. I always start with a prayer and an intention. I speak that intention to the plant, and I speak it to the universe, and I will go into a session like that with a very explicit intention of what I want to get out of it. And sometimes I don't know what I want to get out of it. Sometimes I'm just show me what I need to see. And I have journeyed to childhood. I have journeyed through relationships. I have journeyed to alternate dimensions, and it's just been fun, right? There are every experience is somewhat different, right? Yeah, in the UK, if you got caught with shrooms or growing, you get treated as the same you had meth or meth lab. Yeah, I know. See, that's crazy, right? This is something that grows in nature, and it's treated like a Schedule One substance, and in some countries still. And I hope the stigma continues to change because in a lot of ways, what governments and regulation has done is really stopped people from being able to really progress spiritually, um, and
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 yes,
and have,
every
have fractured people. And that's why there's just so much horrible shit in the world today, is because people are just not in touch with the creation and this unity of mind and matter and form, and being able to raise your consciousness to a higher level. When you do that, you realize that your thought is energy. You're putting thought form into the world, and I very much am of the belief that we are creators, right? We can create with thought and emotion and mental energy. So when you take a thought form and you take emotion and you put those two together, you're able to manifest things in reality. Um, and you can manifest things for an experience, to create the life that you want. And it doesn't come easy if you don't have you know the ability to do this and things like ayahuasca. And that's why, if you need to take a journey, go leave your country, go someplace that you don't face those harsh penalties, and you know go walk about, as the Australians would say.
love it. Celt's Hex, I think, is giving me a hard time about locking myself in my room for 6 hours.
I like to go outdoors. I don't like to be indoors.
I can
I
still
want to
find
be
the
I
door
want
or
to
the
be
lock or whatever. Yeah, talk about that. You like to go outdoors. Whenever I was in high school, the older brothers of one of my friends would say, like, yeah, go outside, watch the trees and stuff. Back
Mhm.
then, I didn't mess with the stuff. Once I got out of college, then I had more of an open mind to try things that are organic.
Mhm.
I definitely still am. Um, I withhold a bit from experimentation because I like the way my brain is. I remember hearing Richard Hart talk about that. Like, I like how things are going now, so I'm not going to go out on a limb.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, talk about the nature aspect of observation.
So I'm gonna share an experience with you that will hopefully blow your mind and the listeners' minds as well. So um, back in
Uh,
we had a particularly
hold on. Back
mm,
in what? I'm sorry, you glitched. And then also,
back in the college
Keltex
days.
has been added to the stream. I don't know how much he's going to speak up.
Okay.
Okay, go for it.
So back in the college days, and I got a lot of gray hair, so this is this is probably before you were born, and most everybody on this stream, unless they're old like me. Um, Back in the day when I was cultivating, we had a particularly uh, great hybrid strain that we'd managed to cultivate, and it was just particularly impressive on the term of visual and auditory hallucination, and we had consumed a fairly decent amount of this particular strain one night, and I remember sitting in my house, and when I really started to leave this planet, I found myself in this like I was indoors. I was sitting on my couch and the TV was gone, and I was listening to my radio, and everything had just become kind of like this deep, rich green and forest and like moss all around me, and I was like not there. I was in a completely different place. And I thought, man, I gotta like this music is incredible. And then I started like looking at like the console, and I'm like, wow, the stereo's not even on, man. And so I'm just like listening. I'm just kind of transported it out. I'm like, man, I got to get up and go for a walk. So I went, got out of the house, and I just started walking. And I ended up walking 2 miles, 2.5 miles down to the lake. I didn't live far from a lake, fairly large lake. Went down there, went swimming, and just like floated around, just really enjoying the night. And 4 hours later, I'm walking back. I'm coming back to Earth, and I'm about halfway back to the house, and I look down and I realize I'm barefoot. And the journey from my house to the lake and back is across a bunch of asphalt and streets and rocks and broken glass and all sorts of stuff. And I remember explicitly walking to the lake, thinking, "Man, this moss, this forest that I'm walking through, is just incredible, right? I'm just pushing down on it." Oh, no, I'm gonna stop. Let me go. What's that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
I've been having audio problems.
Ah, gotcha. Hopefully everybody else can hear me. So this
Let me be right
experience,
back.
all
Can
right.
you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, I
Okay.
hear somebody.
Yeah, this is
Keltex.
Caltex. Yeah,
Hey, what's up,
thank
man?
you. Very happy to
All right.
meet you all.
Hey, very good to meet you, man.
Um,
I like
can
Matt
see
Reeves,
it.
man.
Keltex, I'm kicking you out. I don't know what problems I'm having.
Bring him back in. Let me know when you want me to continue.
Does this have to happen during this stream? Are you able to hear me? You're able to hear me, yeah?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
I hear you fine.
And
Can you
I'm
hear
able
me?
to hear myself. It just said that I had no. As you were talking about as you were talking, then I was having issues.
I see. Check my audio. Yeah. Hello.
I don't even know how to troubleshoot, and I don't know how to change.
All right. Test 1, 2.
Like
Can you
if
hear me now? Was that my end?
I can't hear you, man.
Hear me now?
There's a private chat
Mm,
off to the side, to the right. There's a private chat. If you could text me.
Yeah. I hear you.
Turin says it sounds good.
Okay.
I want to go and come back, but I don't know if it'll stay live. So I'm just going to do that.
Okay.
Hopefully this is going to stay live. If not, we're going to come right back. I'm going to send
Sounds
you
good.
a private message. Okay.
Stay tuned, everybody. Hey, I'm now the host of the show. Look at that. Except I can't see anybody's chat. So if you're talking to me, go to the comments over here. What do I got? Oh, look at that. Now I see everybody. Belly Hex. What's up, man? Red Squirrel. This is exciting. All right. Still working. That's good. Well, I'll let him, Eco Builder, come back in. Should we tell jokes? Bad dad jokes?
Yeah, tell a real bad one.
A really bad dad joke. How do you know when a joke becomes a dad joke?
Oh, I heard this one just the other day. I forgot.
It becomes apparent. Sorry, that's the only one I know. I'm really lame with jokes.
I'm really sorry about what just happened. Did you finish the end of your story?
No, I paused because I wanted you to hear it.
Okay, cool.
I didn't want you to miss it. But yeah, the stream stayed up. I said awful things about you while you were
Hey, I don't care. This is a community thing, so it just piles on top of you.
So anyhow, I'm journeying, right? I'm just way out there, man. I'm just high as shit, and I'm starting to level out and come down as I'm walking back from the lake, and it's like 4 or 5 hours later, and so I'm almost back to the house and look down and I realize, man, I'm barefoot, and this whole time, like, my experience was just I was walking on this, like, the softest mat of moss I'd ever experienced. Everything was like a forest. I was just walking through a forest. It came to a realization that when I got home and I looked at my feet, there's no cuts, there's no bruises, there's nothing. I mean, my feet aren't really even like dirty. So mind over matter, man. Like, it just goes to show that we have mental capacity over what is our default state. And, I fully expected to, get home and like have my feet wrapped in bandages, because I was just walking down like streets with, who knows how much broken glass and rock and all this stuff. And came to the realization that I was not walking down that street. I was completely somewhere else entirely. Kind of like firewalking, like, you get in this mental trance, in this mental state, and you control what's around you. And that was like one of my early experiences, one of my more vivid early experiences with psilocybin. And it really became like a quest for like natural, like I want to experience, what nature has to offer, and advocate for it, because really it has helped me tremendously. I didn't do mushrooms for many, many, many years. As I got older, had kids, and I was a much more psychologically enjoyable human being when I was. So I started about a year ago getting back into it, and I'm a more psychologically still challenged, but working on recovery. I'm actually I'm thinking about going down to Peru here in the next 6 or 8 months or so, and going down to journey with ayahuasca and actually go through the whole experience. So hopefully I'll come back whole again, or at least well on my way, because life has taken its toll on me through the years.
So I have heard some good and bad stories about going to South America or Central America for ayahuasca. So I don't know if I fully believe the people who have bad stories, because it's sort of like they claim that the shaman put it upon them, but it's sort of like, I can see where you're the ass. They're like, the shaman didn't like me. The shaman put all of their bad things on me.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is something that is sacred, right? This is a sacred experience. It's a sacred ritual. It's
But you have your guider. You have somebody that's
yeah,
walking you through it, right?
that's right.
So they
I would
could.
never, ever, 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 ever want to do that without a guide.
Yeah.
Far too powerful a medicine. You've got to have somebody to take you on that journey, I think. I know people that have done it. I know people that have done have done DMT without. They just partied with it, and they'll snort it, smoke it, whatever, freebase it. I'm just like, you guys are crazy, man. No thank you.
Hey, Celt Hex, you are
Okay.
you're in the chat. What's up, man?
Okay. I'm just searching for my avatar to appear. I just want to show my avatar. That's all. But I can't find the setting. That's
Well, this has been family friendly until now. Fuck your avatar.
Okay. Fuck my avatar. So I'm quite experienced in mushrooms, so I thought I would share my knowledge on this, but I never actually grow any mushrooms yet. But that was quite a thing for my friends and I when we were hiking in the mountain and finding these mushrooms amongst the cows, and where they grow. It's really fun to walk there, and then to start your trip in the mountains. So, really interesting times. Even it sort of created bonds between me and and my friends when there was really nothing else to do than to go in the mountains and to pick those little mushrooms, and then maybe we can go back with some left, because we couldn't eat them all on the place. So we started to make some reserves, and sometime we made a party, and we cooked them in a sort of potion with butter, and that was so amazing. But you can't have another how do we say, another an overdose. You can't have an overdose, but you can
I never have.
you can definitely eat too much. Yes.
You could, I suppose. I have on
Could
occasion.
you overdose was the question, huh?
I don't. I mean,
Yeah, maybe you have some problem with your stomach, and then you will throw up a bit. But that won't be catastrophic.
So I will tell you this: I've gone as high as like 10 to 12 grams, which is like twice or almost 3 times the normal dose. Didn't throw up. Had a lot of gas. Had a it's kind of
Yeah,
like a Roto-Rooter.
definitely.
It'll clear you out, right?
Yeah.
But that's to be expected, right? But
Roto-Rooter.
I have ripped a hole in the fabric of reality, and never ever had any problems with quote unquote overdosing. Thought that I was like crazy. I'm not sure I would do that very often, but yeah, can you? I suppose, I think John.
Ah,
He
freeze.
froze a little bit. Yeah. You froze just a little bit. Back
Okay.
to, you think John what?
I think John Hopkins, is experimenting with, like that. But I've never heard of anybody say that they overdose. Now, there are bad strains of mushrooms. Like there are some out there that will make you very, very, very ill. And you want to make sure that you are ingesting the right mushroom, not the wrong.
So, what my point is that maybe mushrooms are like other things like peyote or DMT and all those things that you cannot just ape in the thing and take them. It's too risky.
Mm-hmm.
You must have some framework in within it. You will be able to grasp reality in some sense,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't know how far your mind can go, and there is a risk that you won't be able to to just assume what you will discover. And
Yeah.
yes, sometimes it helps a bit to just make some ceremonial, and just to take in consideration
Mm,
that if you do that with some friends, you cannot take the risk at their place, and you must assume at some point that you have some kind of responsibility for them
mm,
if they even lose their ability to be responsible for themselves. So
mhm.
it's kind of important that you can have some kind of ceremony.
Yeah, that's like I said, at the start of this, that's how I approach psychedelics. Is it's ceremonial, right? I'm in a outdoors. I'm in a safe place. I'm camping. I'm with nature. I'm making a prayer to the universe. I'm speaking intention. And I've developed my own way of ceremoning, but it's not, oh, hey, let's go drop a bunch of mushrooms and go see a concert, or let's go drop a bunch of mushrooms and just go to a party. I might be microdosing when I'm out doing things, but if I'm going to go into something that is going to elicit hallucinations, then I'm in a safe place, and I'm doing it with respect and intention, because every one of these things is a spirit, right? And you hear the shamans talk about ayahuasca. There's all sorts of spirits that come in and go, and if you're not careful, that's why I will never ever ever do something like ayahuasca without
Yes,
a
you
skilled
need to
shaman,
have
because you don't want those spirits attaching to you.
yeah,
It could ruin
of
you.
course. If you don't have any intention, it will eat your soul in some sense.
X-ray vision, what's up, man?
What's up, kids?
Bit finesse, what's up, dude? I love that he was saying that. Yeah, there's a place here in the States that you can get it. I can't. Do they actually? They actually cultivate psilocybin spores though?
Let's see the Bit Finesse's comment about exactly where you could buy it, right?
Yeah, it
At
was
the Shroom Depot.
the Shroom Depot. That sounds familiar, actually. That sounds somewhat familiar. I remember back when I got spores, it was a piece of cake. I just went online, I ordered spores, and they shipped them to me. And then I ordered some different kinds of spores. They shipped those to me, and then I mixed the mycelium from those 2 spores and created a hybrid, which was pretty cool.
I love how Turin says that when he was on the island of Hawaii, the medicine would decide where you went. You know, brought from the land, and the land decided.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've heard that visiting Hawaii, it brings out whatever problems that you've got. So if you go there with a mate and you've got some issues, you guys probably won't come back together.
There's a lot of beautiful people there. I don't know if it's the medicine, just maybe the environment. Yeah. I like Hawaii. I would love to take a journey and like try all the different kinds and varieties. I don't know if I'll ever do that, at least not until the kids are grown and out and I can just like, free range again. But
so Markman talks about a 48-gram tea was the best mind opener.
Oh my gosh, man. Well, yeah, like 48 grams. That's a lot. How long do you let it steep in the tea? And do you drink? Is it ground up or is it just like caps and stems that you're soaking? Because there is a difference if you are talking about just soaking caps and stems and you're not consuming them and you're just kind of drinking the tea versus like, my bad. Let's switch screens versus, grinding them up into a fine powder and then like, drinking all of it. Like I'll put it in coffee and just like drink the whole thing.
Hey, Caltex.
Hey, there he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, still alive, found on a path, just the right amount. Yeah. There's nothing funner than being out in nature and running across them and like there they are. It's like the gift from Mother Nature. It's like, here you go. That's the best.
So I wonder if Bitfinesse says that he blocks out 3 days of his time. So I wonder if he goes out into like a hiking region, a camping area.
Mm-hmm.
Do you travel with your tent? Where do you leave your car? Or you just do you really stay around your electronics and your machinery and things like that? Things that are I want to say man-made, but like I also want to say like material dense.
Cabin near a lake. Just some place that you can get somewhat isolated, or you and some friends can get somewhat isolated, and you can, or your significant other, better that way.
So we're talking a lot about microdosing, but like if you're dosing and you're going to take like 3.5 grams or something like that, like do you take another 3.5 grams after you get through that first amount? Like, do you take them right after another, or do you allow yourself to rest? Because I personally would allow myself to rest because I explain it to people as in like we're poisoning ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. But there will be some small amount of time where you can decide whether you think it's gonna be efficient or not, because you definitely don't want to don't feel anything at all. So you wanna appreciate how fast it's coming in effect, and you want to choose if you need to take more, because there is always some differences in the doses between one mushroom and one another. So it's definitely something.
Mark, man, you're cracking me up. Phones don't work while tripping. I love that. That's great. No, they don't, man. You can't even look at the screen. You're just like, whoa, what is that? Yeah.
How do
Um,
I make this thing do what I want it to do? And you just sit there
yeah.
and stare at it.
Yeah, trying to just like change the tracks on like Pandora sometimes can be a real struggle. Yeah, I in the past have started with a small dose and just continually like microdose through the day until I reach to a certain level where I want to be, and that's fine. You can do it a couple days in a row, that's fine, but you do have to give yourself a break. Like I think microdosing, it's like 3 to 4 weeks, and then you really want to like stop for a month or so, 3 or 4 weeks, and give yourself time to just like reintegrate. But I think everybody's different. Explore, try it out, and see what works for you. I don't know that there's one way or one right way. There's lots of wrong ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Mark, man, come on. Here's the link. How long is this stream? At the very minimum, 9 more minutes.
Let's see what I have. I have to look at my in real life schedule and see if I'm still good. I've got a little bit of time, yeah.
Thanks for blocking it out.
Absolutely, man. Sorry, I was not able to join you last week. Yeah, last week was crazy.
It's all good.
It was 14 days
thinking.
of PTO, and then a weekend full of like fireworks and like 105-degree weather, and just like being just mentally and physically exhausted.
In the chat, in the Texas chat, this guy posted all sorts of fireworks event stuff, like fireworks out the galore, and then I'm sitting there thinking like, I wonder how drunk or how much of a partier this guy is. Like,
we were completely sober for that whole thing. Yeah.
And for me asking him to come on the next day, but we made very loose or no plans. It was like,
hey, can you
floating stuff? Yeah. So I was very, very happy about the thumbnail that I made, and so I got to use it 2 weeks in a row. Mm-hmm. So I tricked people last week. I rambled on for 3.5 hours.
That was brilliant, man. You did a great job. I watched it last night. It's this morning at like 3:00 in the morning. I'm watching last week's stream to kind of figure out like where I needed to like come in. Cool. And you did a fantastic job rambling. I do have an answer to your question though. You were asking the audience last week on your crypto funds and doing the philanthropy stuff. I think that I don't know if you looked at Tex and Rich Rags to Riches. I think that endowment idea is really, really, really good for that.
Yeah, it's awesome that people are coming in and creating tools. Mm-hmm. And I'm just witnessing it from an OG Hexicans standpoint, trying to make myself useful as possible. If it is that Richard or somebody that's really smart has an idea to interject, please do, because I will be a worker and I will also protect people morally. So I'm not going to be a bad actor.
Yeah. We need people like us.
Hey, Marcus, you're live.
How's it going, guys?
What's up, man?
Well, just got done working bees, so I'm listening to the stream all on air or while I was working them. So, but yeah, used to do that stuff back when I was younger. I had some pretty intense experiences, but I always hated eating them. I always made tea with them.
Yeah, it's like after you return for the 3rd or 4th time, then your body recognizes that, oh, tummy ache's coming up, or we're about to do a deep dive. And because it's such a rich mushroom taste, and you want to chew it up as much as possible if you hadn't already ground it, right?
Yeah, because I always just ground them up after they were dried primarily, but I always ground them up and threw them into tea. Usually, I put that into less than 2 ounces of water, of liquid. So it's a shot, tip it back and down it goes. And the effects are almost immediate. Like within 5 minutes, you need to sit down.
You want some citrus, so some acidity, so some lemon, just some drops of lemon juice or fresh squeezed lemon in your tea. That really helps soothe the stomach, and the experience is overall much better, especially if you've fasted a little bit before going into this. I think fasting is the thing that most people miss, and that's why they get such an upset stomach. It's like, don't go eat a fat cheeseburger and then go do this hours later. Like, that's the worst thing you can do.
Another really awesome thing was I put them into Jello, more or less. So they're little Jello, like 1 ounce Jello molds that I used, and that was always fun. A lot of people really enjoyed those because you don't taste anything then.
Yeah,
you can put quite a bit in there. I don't know, but you got to be careful with those too, because I had a friend who he took 2 of them and they were 7 grams a piece, and like half an hour later he's like, oh, I don't feel nothing, and then he disappeared for a little while, and we're like, well, where did he go? And he ate 2 more of them, so he ate a whole ounce, and we found him in the woods just kind of staring up at the sky. Just he was fine. I mean, there was nothing wrong with him, but yeah, but he liked to do it that way too. He liked it when he could take a pile of them.
Hey, Finn Bear, are you offering your greenhouse?
No, he's just bragging about his progress. That's been his big chore.
That's awesome. See, I think he said he's from Finland, so right. I mean, that's great because you got lots of darkness. I mean, that's what you need. Cool, dark temperatures for a lot of it.
We'll do a greenhouse tour next year, probably.
Wow, that's awesome.
Either that or in the middle of the winter if he's got something growing.
I need a greenhouse.
He's got a heated pool right now. And I think his greenhouse has been his sunroom on the south side of his house.
Yeah, for those who just recently joined, I don't know, Eco, if you want to throw that image that I sent you back up.
Yes.
I can't remember where I got that. Let's see if I can find the site real quick.
So let's see. Real fast, let me introduce an idea of a retreat that we've had. Torin is in Oklahoma, and he has some land in his family, and it's just north of Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
And so he does some bow hunting during deer season. And so I kind of like gravitated to that idea. And there's a local festival that happens, like Oktoberfest sort of thing, in Guthrie or around there. I traveled through Guthrie on a road trip once and took note of that place because a friend of a friend lived there. We actually made a stop. It seems like a very booming place back during the settlement times. So I think that in the culture that's established, it has been a very important city, for better or worse, what am I trying to say? So we're able to go out there and we're able to do some camping, and we're able to do a little bit of activities and maybe help design or build some things with him. But it's just going to be a very quick camping opportunity. Right now, we're just feeling out the dates. But like I said, there's a festival that weekend that we could incorporate into our plans.
What weekend is that?
That's the very last weekend of September. So September 29th is a Friday.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Friday or Thursday. Yeah. So first weekend in October.
First weekend in October.
in northern-ish Oklahoma, eastern-ish Oklahoma, just right on the side of the reservations and just north of Oklahoma City. And so people like myself coming up from Texas would just take I-35 and then go through Oklahoma City.
Yeah, that's not far from where I am, actually. Just a little bit south.
All right, so I've got that image back up.
Yeah, there you go. So right, that's like the whole process. I actually dropped the link for the website that this came from, just so that it's properly attributed. It's namyco.org.
Let me halt it real fast. Turin chimed in. The festival is right downtown with a big campground,
Very cool.
including RV hookups. The jams during the festival will go most of the night. So I think what we'll do is actually retreat back from the festival and camp back on the family property in the evening, so we won't be staying up all night. He says it's like the 24th annual year. Really close
Oklahoma's
to
really
it. So
changed since they legalized marijuana.
have done what?
I said since Oklahoma legalized marijuana, things have really changed up there.
Oh, sweet.
Hey, Tex, did you guys ever use like a flow hood or anything like that?
A what?
A flow hood, like a laminar flow hood?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the hardest part, right? Is to get sterile in a sterile environment.
Yeah, I know. I used a flow hood and stuff, and that was always a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those deals. It's kind of like I'll use bees as an example. Once you get started, you can really get carried away.
Yeah. You find yourself very quickly having more than you know what to do with.
Yeah, that was the biggest problem.
We would have like, a couple 30-gallon trash bags full of like dried mushrooms. We just gave them away to people. We just like go to parties and festivals and like just hand them to people.
That was always a nice part about the teas, is they were easier to move.
Yeah, there's an outfit down in Florida somewhere. Some guy has figured out how to distill into concentrate liquid.
Yeah, I made an actual powdered. I distilled it into powder, which you have to use alcohol for that. But
yeah,
that was pretty decent. I have a decent chemistry set.
Yeah,
but I liked that the best. Probably it's different though. It's not the same. It's kind of
changes the characteristics. Like if you eat it, like if you just eat the caps and stems, and you was saying earlier, like the taste is bad. Like it doesn't really even bother me that much anymore. I can just eat kind of caps and stems, and like it's okay. I just have something with it, but wash it down. It's getting it out of the teeth is a little difficult. That's why I like to powder it. But it comes on slower, stays longer if you eat them whole, versus like if you powder it, it comes on very, very fast, and you tend to like shoot really high, really fast, and you're already on your way down. So it all happens a little bit quicker. Liquid, I think, is even more so, right?
Yeah, liquid will hit you within minutes.
Yeah. It's very, very, very fast. I like some that are like whole, and then I'll take some powdered. I'll kind of mix those together and like.
Yeah, I always did the teas primarily, and then like I said, I put them into like little jelly molds or Jello molds of whatever, little smiley faces or whatever crap like that. But
yeah,
I was always afraid of that because people will eat too much and they won't know. You can specifically tell people like, hey, this is this amount. Do whatever you're comfortable with, but
yeah,
sometimes they go too far.
Yeah. One shot is okay. 2 shot is out of this world. 3 shot is hold on to your ass.
Yeah, you're going to be found in the woods somewhere.
Hey, this comment from X-Ray Vision, I don't know if it's trolling or not. He says you can also take Dramamine and it won't disrupt your trip.
I guess that's for like easing the discomfort or making I don't know. Like I said, I mind my diet. If I'm going to take a heavy trip, I'm going to prepare my system for a couple of days prior. I'm going to clean out. I'm going to stay on vegetables, not a whole lot of fat, not a whole lot of meat. I might do some chicken broth, some beef broth. Just I'm going to really try to kind of clean myself out a couple of days and have like a really light diet the day of, and I don't have any problems.
Sweet. Talking about this image, what did we want to review?
I was just gonna show it up there again, right? So,
Yeah.
Malt agar petri dishes. You do 2 rounds of that, then you inoculate your grain with sterilized grain seed. You need a fairly robust pressure cooker and some mason jars, and you've got the mason jars, you want them to breathe, right? The caps you want on because you don't want anything in there, but you want to get one of these really thick filters, and you can attach the filter. You put some holes in the mason cap jar, and you want to put a filter on that, and you want that whole thing to go into the pressure cooker, right? Because you want it to get hot. You want to pressure cook. You don't want to blow the jar. But you don't want to leave the cap off. You want to inoculate it and seal it up very quickly, because all it takes is like one mold spore from like your moldy bread, and you're gonna wreck an entire jar of grain. It's until you get past a couple weeks in the spawn right there, the inoculation of the spawn, like until you get to that point, it's very, 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 very delicate. It doesn't take a lot to destroy it.
One little spore from your moldy bread on your countertop.
Yeah, it will ruin in your petri dish. You will find all sorts of things growing. Like if you just start doing that, right? Like you're gonna figure out real quick, oh, I've got a clean room or I don't. Yeah. It doesn't take much.
Everybody, this image is available at t.me/hexfoodies, the Telegram chat. And then also I'll take a link here and I'll put it in the chat.
I'm actually free the weekend, that last weekend of September. I'm going up to St. Louis to Sky Wars, which is an event put on every year by Mo Pyro. It's a big competition every year. Pro-ams, they come in there they each get $20,000 worth of fireworks, and they have show competitions to see who can put on the best shows. So we're going to go up there for 4 days and shoot off some really, really big fireworks up to like 16-inch shells, and just blow the sky apart. And then maybe we can slide up there this weekend. Then we're going down to Aramco in Austin at the end of October for the F1 races, and we'll be shooting fireworks off of the rooftops of the racetrack in Austin.
I didn't realize you were a pyro.
I am a pyro now. I wasn't. I suspect I've always been a pyro. My parents always knew I was a pyro. I tried to burn our, barn down when I was a kid. Always enjoyed, playing with fire. But I suppressed it for as long as I could. Now that I reacquainted myself with an old friend of mine that now does, professional display fireworks. They're all like ATF certified, and the people that are working with them are like, all ex-military, like they're all explosive experts, and they build shells and they do all this stuff. They're like a boutique company, and I'm totally hooked. So
sweet.
Yeah.
I once was studying at Montreal, and it was during the summer, and they have firework competitions that are like worldwide.
Yeah.
So all these different countries set up these displays over the top of the river there in Montreal, and every Saturday for the entire summer, every Saturday was like a 4th of July.
Wow.
And so like the Saturday that I remember the most was whenever Germany set off theirs, and just like boom, 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 and then everything's glistening back at you off the river as well.
Yeah,
it's wonderful.
Yeah, that's cool. Whoa, that's big. There you
Well,
go.
let's wrap
Right
it up with Finbear saying that's what she said.
Can't wait to see the greenhouse. Looking
Yeah.
forward to that.
Yeah, let's get a personal video walkthrough, Finbear. Post that to chat. That'd be
I
fun.
want to know, and I want to know what you're doing for control systems. Like, are you building your own, like with Node MCUs, ESP86, 32s, whatever? Are you building your own controllers for, humidity control, lighting, and all this stuff? Or are you doing commercial stuff?
I think it's survival. Keltex, I was about to ask you, how do we pronounce your name?
My name.
So it's not my name. So if you want to call me Celtex, it's okay, because it's Celt, like Celtic, and hex. You know how it says. And yes, basically, Gaiman, it is part of my surname. So it's my name. My first name is Gaël in French. It's a, a Breton name. So it's like a British, if you want, but it's in France. And so I made that surname Gaiman, because I wanted to add something different for the hand, because it's quite a strange name for a boy, in France, because there is a lot of more. There is really more girls that are called Gaël than boys. So it's quite difficult surname to bear.
So you're over in France?
No, I live in Geneva in Switzerland. I flee France.
Go there.
Yeah, I flee France in 2014 when the Charlie Hebdo events occurred. I flee. I took my shit and I came to Geneva because I couldn't spend any more time in the street, and all I was doing and got implicated in my public life. It was all going to explode. So I had to flee, and really I consider myself as the only French refugee in Geneva, because I'm born quite 20 kilometers from here, but in France, and then I had to step back from that country because I couldn't stand it anymore. I couldn't really. It was so hard to just acknowledge all the lie every day after every day, and all the people are so dumb, people are so duped, and it's all very much a shame. So
Everybody needs to eat more mushrooms.
And I was meeting a girl at that time, and I took the chance, and I quite invited myself in her place. It was not very far from where I lived at that time. It was just 5 kilometers away, but it was in Switzerland. And it's really strange when you live all your life at 5 kilometers from a border from another country. It's not really like the same. It's not really like the same culture. It's not really like the same language, even if it's French. It's very different. And when I started to make myself at ease in Switzerland, because there was different things you need to consider when you move in Switzerland. I really found myself very much more happy in Switzerland that I ever been before in France, and so it took me approximately 5 years to come back to France and feel quite quiet again, because I was so triggered, and I
Yeah.
lost all my friends on Facebook at the time. I lost every friend
Mhm.
that I had at that time. I was president of a, of a non-profit association for paragliding on the Salève, which is the mountain in the
Oof.
vicinity of Geneva. So
Nice.
I was quite integrated in some sense. But I had a relationship with the Swiss people before, and when I was young, my step father, he was Swiss, and my parents have both uh, passed their entire career in Geneva. My dad was working at Sun Microsystem for Sun Microsystem, and before that he was working at Caterpillar, and my mom was working in a data center in a bank. So she was working in the bank, and that's quite how I came to crypto. So I made some strange parkour in my life. I had several difficulties, but now it's okay. I'm so quiet. I have a kid, and I'm so happy for her, and I'm so happy for what Richard Hart enabled us to do together.
Indeed.
It was so. It was
It's
so. I
the
really found.
synchronicities are amazing that are happening right
I
now.
was talking. I was took aback for some time, because when I started to
Real
aid
fast,
in
real fast, real fast. Hold on. Hey, uh, Tex Hex, do you need to go?
yeah.
I got to go soon.
Okay.
I'll
Sign us off.
say peace out, man. Thanks
Okay.
for having me on the show. True pleasure.
Thanks for being here, man.
Namaste.
Take it easy.
We'll see you
Cheers,
Bye.
guys.
cheers. All
All
right.
right.
Thanks.
Looking forward to it. See you on the flip side.
Thank you, sir. So keep talking about because we love hearing about you, learning about you.
Yeah. Thank you. So I. It's really really strange. I can't remember exactly when it was I found Richard. So I tried to find the first videos that I remember having watched on YouTube, but I couldn't find the first one. I think because I was following Ivan on Tech at the time, and I was
Mhm.
quite implicated in the chat because every morning it was Good Morning Crypto, and it was so fun. I had very a good time at that moment. It was really fun, and it was triggered me when I first saw Richard Hart was his level of expertise, and is really knowledgeable about crypto, and it was so amazing. And I was before the launch phase. I was maybe 6 or 7 months before the first day, so I waited. It was long, but it was not. I didn't wait 1 year and a half like the others. I just waited approximately 7 months. So yeah, I understand what the people are living with the Pulse chain now, because they don't have any news about their money, so it's quite understandable. But they really must not worry about it. It's coming, and it's gonna blow your mind once again. There's no doubt about that.
So you waited 6 or 7 months for Hex
Yeah.
to launch?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
geez.
And yeah, and eventually I FOMO'd day one.
Even then. I didn't know
Yeah,
what he meant
it
by
was.
don't FOMO,
I
there's
just
gonna be plenty. I didn't know what he meant, and I didn't know, like, how much ETH was gonna come in there. So let's see. I think that I might have done a little bit on the first day, or maybe I just did a little bit on the second day, just to
I
sort of
know,
test the waters.
Richard said we must not FOMO day one, but
Don't FOMO day
at
one.
the time,
But we didn't know what that looked like. What is FOMO?
no.
What does that
The
actually
fact
mean?
the fact is, I didn't know at the time how huge was his knowledge, so I
Uh-huh.
couldn't take his words for granted. So I had to make my mind about what was happening or going to happen. So I couldn't eventually do anything else than FOMO day one, and then I just out a bit. So I put all my money, not all my money, but maybe a third of my money day one, and it was not
Oh,
really worth the amount. So I had to
oh.
find another solution to find new money to to continue this AA, and I put $50 there, $50 there, $20, and it was really difficult to see the rates going through the day. It was growing and then coming smaller and smaller and smaller, and then the wave coming at the end, it will cut the grass under your feet, and then you say, yeah, I couldn't have that rate today. I must I must try again tomorrow. And until day 33, that was really profitable for me. And then
And then once you're at the day 33, you don't put in so much because you think that, oh,
no,
quite
it's
possibly
not.
it'll keep going
It was
down.
really. I was already DCAing since
Okay.
2 years. 2 years. It was 2 years. I was DCAing in Bitcoin, and
Yeah.
then I claimed my free Bitcoin X, and
Oh,
then
yes, I did that too.
I
Yeah.
sold
And
my
then sell
Bitcoin.
that Bitcoin and put it
Yeah, I
into
sold it
Ethereum
all. I
and then
sold it
put that
all.
into the adoption
Yeah,
amplifier.
I don't care. I don't care at all to sell my Bitcoin. I'm not a fucking maxi. I'm not.
We were specifically told by Richard Hart to do that, to
Yeah, yeah,
to to have your
true.
Bitcoin and hold it
Yeah,
until you
really
free
true.
claim. And then
Yeah.
if I were you, is what Richard Hart says, then I would
Yeah, that
probably
was
go
quite.
all in.
That was a bit shady from his part, but
Hey, I
yeah,
need
you
to
can
bring this
trust
to
him.
an end because I need to be somewhere else
Okay.
right now. We're
Yeah,
having some
no problem.
conversations in the postcards chat.
Pas de problème.
Hexpostcards.com and t.me/hex postcards. Thank you so much, Keld Hex, for being
Yeah.
here.
See you. See you.
It's good to learn a little bit more of who you are, and we'll see you here soon. Cheers, everybody.
Bye.
Take it easy. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Marcus. Thanks for being here.
Bye.